Hello everybody, Ellie here for WhoCulture. Once again, the BBC have done it to me. They've done it to me again. Not quite as bad as the first time where I literally released a video and within 5 minutes of that video releasing, the release dates were announced. But it has literally been 2 days. In the previous video I said, watch the BBC now give us the release dates for The War Between the Land and the Sea, and that is exactly what they have done. Before I get to the release dates though, alongside those dates, we also got 2 new posters for The War Between the Land and the Sea, and they look really cool. I'm loving the colour scheme that we've got going on here, like the contrast of obviously the blues of the sea and the kind of orangey, earthy tones of the land. I'm loving the characters facing off against each other. It's very exciting, and something that we have noticed actually in a lot of the posters that we've seen so far for The War Between the Land and the Sea. It's such a tongue twister of a title. If I had one complaint so far about the show, it's that could they not have come up with a shorter title? When you look at these posters, there's absolutely no mention whatsoever anywhere of Doctor Who. Now obviously, it's not Doctor Who, but it is a Doctor Who spin-off, but nothing on these posters has any sort of indication that they are linked to Doctor Who in any way. Obviously, you don't want people to go into it thinking it's going to be Doctor Who and it not be. You don't want kids to go and suddenly watch Torchwood and get a shock when they get to episode 2. But we do wonder how intentional this is. Is this done in a way so as to try and bring in the non-Who crowd as well, to try and entice other audience members, and if you slap Doctor Who all over it, then it might turn some people away from it, so this probably is a conscious choice. But it is very interesting that there is no mention of Doctor Who whatsoever anywhere on the posters so far. But anyway, let's get to the real reason you're all here. We finally have the dates for The War Between the Land and the Sea. Now, obviously, it was announced just a couple of weeks ago, maybe even 1 week ago. It's kind of all blurring into one at this point. But it was announced recently that the episodes would be dropping in the UK on BBC One and BBC iPlayer in December, and Disney Plus in 2026. So we now know that we're going to get a double release on Sunday the 7th of December, episode 1 and 2. Now if you saw the BBC press release for that, that is the only information we got, that the first 2 episodes will be dropping on the 7th of December. However, if you look at Russell T Davis's Instagram post, he then goes on to announce that episodes 3 and 4, another double release, will be coming on December the 14th, Sunday the 14th of December, and then the final episode, episode 5, will be dropping on Sunday the 21st of December. Interesting that that information was only on Russell T Davis's Instagram post as opposed to all those dates being revealed on the official press release. I don't know whether that was a purposeful choice, because we were a little bit confused to start with, thinking, well, you've given us the first 2 dates, or the first 2 episodes, but when are we going to get the other episodes? I think originally we assumed that the final episode would drop on the 28th of December, but the press release specifically said that all the episodes would be a nice Christmas watch, so that then indicated that they'd all be released prior to Christmas. So it all got a bit confusing, but thank you, Russell T Davis, for confirming that on your Instagram post. However, I don't know, if anyone else is having this issue, then do let me know. I went to check out that post, and I can't access Russell T Davis's Instagram account anymore. So my initial thought was, oh, maybe you weren't supposed to announce that, and you've quickly had to remove your account because you posted something you weren't supposed to. Or you posted the wrong dates. I can't see it. It's gone. Everyone else seems to be able to see Russell's account still, so if you've blocked me, Russell, could you maybe unblock me, please? I tried on the WhoCulture account. Same problem, so please unblock us, Russell, if that's what's happened. I don't think that's what's happened, but if it has happened, please unblock me. Anyway, the whole point of that being, everyone else seems to be able to see the post still, so I'm going to take that information as correct. If everyone else couldn't see it either, then I might suggest take that with a pinch of salt. Maybe Russell announced something he wasn't supposed to, or the dates were incorrect, but seeing as everyone else can still see it, I'm going to assume those dates are correct, and it's good dates. I'm glad that these are the dates we've got. So alongside the dates, we also had the times. I assume it will be the same time every week. So 8:30 p.m. is when the episodes, or at least episodes 1 and 2, will be dropping on the 7th of December. And they will be dropping on BBC iPlayer at the same time as they air on BBC One. And then, of course, I will get to the Disney situation in a second, because I'm sorry. The fact that they are dropping on BBC iPlayer and airing on BBC One at the same time is very good. Selfishly for us, them dropping on BBC iPlayer at the beginning of the day was helpful in terms of us getting the videos to you quicker. But in terms of the enjoyment of the episodes, spoilers getting out there, it did not make sense that the episodes would drop at different times on iPlayer and air on BBC One. It just did not make sense to me. Either drop them at 8 a.m. everywhere, or drop them all at the same time at the end of the day when it airs on BBC One. Hopefully this means that they've listened to all the moaning and they've fixed that mistake. It just did not make sense. So very glad that that's been fixed. It's so much more like event viewing when everyone has to wait and watch it at the same time. Obviously, there are those who can't watch it exactly when it airs, and that's why it then gets put on iPlayer so that you can catch up and watch it later. But when it drops on iPlayer and airs on BBC at completely different times, that's when you have issues. I hear you screaming at me, the Disney Plus viewers. I'm getting to you. There is one downside to the 7th of December for these episodes dropping, or the first 2 episodes dropping, and that is that they will be up against the final for I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, which is massive over here in the UK. So it's going to be very, very tough, I think, in the overnight ratings to do very well on that particular date. I think don't be surprised if you look at the overnight ratings for the first 2 episodes and they're not as great because they're up against the final of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. One year they'll give Doctor Who the perfect release date. One year they'll do it. I mean, it's not Doctor Who, but you know what I mean. That's a tough act to be up against. So that will be interesting. And obviously we have 2 double bills. Episode 1 and 2 on the 7th, episode 3 and 4 on the 14th. So hopefully this doesn't mean that episode 1 isn't very good, and so they're putting it out with episode 2 to kind of bolster it up, in a similar vein to when you look at Space Babies and The Devil's Cord, which both dropped at the same time, presumably because they knew that Space Babies was not going to grab people and The Devil's Cord hopefully would. I'm hoping that's not the case here. For me, I think the reason they've done it like this is because they wanted it to all be out for Christmas viewing. So by doing that, it meant that they could have all 5 episodes released in time for you to binge them all over Christmas if you wanted to. They've spoken about this kind of box set situation. So I think that's why they've done it, and they kind of run out of weekends. Let's hope that's the reason. You know, if you want to be a little bit more of a Debbie Downer on it, then perhaps they're just a little bit done with it. They just want to get it out and over and done with. Chuck it out in over three days, essentially. Get it out over 2 or 3 weeks, and it's done. But then, at the same time, Sunday evening television, that's prime television in the UK. That's prime time TV. I mean, not quite as golden a spot as Saturday evenings, but Sunday evenings is still a good spot to have. Weekend spots, you know, so I who knows what's going on in their heads. But I will now get to those people I can hear saying, but what about us? Everybody outside of the UK. I honestly don't know why they've done this. Disney Plus viewers, so basically any viewers outside of the UK, are not going to get it until 2026. So if the last episode drops on the 21st of December, you know, it's not like our initial thought was that perhaps they'd drop over New Year, and so they were being sneaky by the 2026, and the Disney Plus viewers would get them on the 1st of January. That might still be the case, but it does mean that you've not got a couple of days, you've got weeks. You've got 2 weeks, essentially, before you will be able to see the episodes, if they drop at the very beginning of 2026. Who knows when they're going to drop? I have no answers for why they have done this. I wish I could tell you. I already feel your frustration. I've just spoken about how silly it was that they dropped the episodes of seasons 1 and 2 at 8 o'clock in the morning on BBC iPlayer and then released them on BBC One in the evening. I feel your pain, because this is going to be even worse. This isn't even just over a 12-hour period. This is going to be weeks behind. And spoilers are going to be out there. You can't stop them from being there. They are going to be out there as soon as the episodes drop. So I do feel your pain. I really do. It's such a strange situation. It's very, very odd. Hopefully at some point maybe we'll get an answer to why they've done this. Probably not, to be fair. They probably won't reveal this, why they've decided to do that. But my only thought being that Disney Plus have their own Christmas festive things that they want to put out, and this is not one of them. It does give a sense that the partnership with Disney and the BBC didn't end very amicably, that it seems like they can't communicate and work together to get these things out at the same time. I really don't know. I really, really have no idea. It's very frustrating. I feel your pain. I can only apologise. It wasn't my fault, I promise, but I know that you're going to get frustrated by this, so I do apologise. Obviously, we will have content coming out covering these episodes. We'll try our best to not have spoilers as much as we can in the thumbnails for the videos, because we do understand that a lot of our viewers will be outside of the UK. But do know that we will have content coming out, so if you are outside of the UK and you want to avoid spoilers, here's your warning now that there will be coverage coming. If you are in the UK and you do want to watch it, great, stick around. We will have the ups and downs for sure. We're still trying to figure out the kind of finer details on what other content we're going to have, because we've never covered a spin-off before, so it's entirely new territory for us. But just know that ups and downs are a definite. Other content will be coming as well. Now that we have the release dates, we can try and figure that out a little bit more for you. But yeah, viewers outside of the UK, hang on in there, and hopefully it's worth the wait. Viewers in Ireland, you seem to be forgotten about once again. As far as I'm aware, it will release on BBC One, air at 8:30 on the BBC in Ireland. But if you miss it then, you're kind of screwed, because you don't have BBC iPlayer, and it's not on. Disney for some reason thinks that you're part of the UK. So, sorry about that. Don't have an answer. I'm not doing very well with giving you answers here, giving you lots of information, things that might upset you, but I can't give you a reason or an answer for it, I'm afraid. But I can finally say we have the release dates for The War Between the Land and the Sea. There's 5 episodes, episode 1 and 2 on Sunday the 7th of December, episode 3 and 4 on Sunday the 14th of December, and episode 5 on Sunday the 21st of December, unless Russell T Davies posted something that was incorrect. Let me know your thoughts on all this in the comments down below. In the meantime, I've been Ellie for WhoCulture, and in the words of Riversong herself, goodbye, sweeties.